plaintiff, Ray Feaster, dated the defendant, and he claims he took good care of her, but she ended up stealing his identity and falsely accusing him of abuse. Ray is suing for attorney fees, a stimulus check, and emotional distress. Defendant Terry Marshall says Ray was extremely controlling and verbally abusive, and after they broke up, she was forced to file a restraining order against him. Terry denies owing Ray for anything.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
I met Miss Marshall 3 years ago, and I was walking to the corner store, and she was outside sweeping, and I spoke, and we exchanged numbers, and we got to know each other. We became more than friends. We became lovers, and I continued to date her, do things for her around her house, and I just continued to do what a real man supposed to do. She used to call me her handyman. So like I said, it became a handyman with benefits. So once we became friends, I used to take Miss Terry to work every morning. I drove her to work for 2.5 years. As time went on, we argued a little bit because Miss Terry Marshall liked to drink and drive. And she even had a DUI in the past. And I used to fuss with her about that. So that was an argument about that. Also, we had an argument about she always put her girlfriends first. Always put her girlfriends before me. Every time I turned around, it was her girlfriend, it was a girlfriend. But come to find out down the line, it wasn't her girlfriends. It was another man. He used to text her early in the morning as I'm taking her to work. Good morning, sunshine, things of that nature. And I just got hip to it, and I was like, wow. But I still loved her.
How long after dating did you see these things?
About a year after dating, I started seeing it. And I continued to do things for her. I was there for her when she got evicted from her home. Okay, and last year when she got evicted, I was there for her. But I just continued to do things for Miss Marshall, even though I was taking care of my mother.
You ain't do too much, or she wouldn't have been evicted.
Right.
Well,
seriously though, sir, how are you doing all this other stuff? Driving her to work in the morning. I'm sure she'd have said, save the gas and send that check to the landlord.
well, she had a household living with her, so they were able to pay the rent. They just didn't pay it.
Other adults?
Yes, another adult living with her. Yes, she did.
Okay, I understand then.
Yes,
all right.
Yes, she did.
Now, you can't take care of everybody. All right, ma'am, let me hear from you. You had a man that allowed you to get put out? Let me hear from you. Give me some background. Give me some background on meeting him.
Okay, so I met Ray in 2017 when I moved into the rental property on Master Street. He was a good guy. My girlfriend told me he was too old for me at the time, but being as though he was, you know, I admired him because he took care of his mother, which was a very good thing. I admire men that take care of their parents because I don't have either one of my parents, my mother or my father. So I admired that about him. And he was a good person. And after a while, he became very controlling, he didn't want me to go out after work. He didn't want me hanging out with my girlfriends. He always made it seem like I was hanging out with other men, but it was just my girlfriends and I was going out after work. And what he failed to mention is that why we wasn't paying rent was because we was in court because we had insufficient heat at our rental property and the money wasn't escrow. So it wasn't like we wasn't paying. We had a whole court case going through with the whole system. He went through my phone and texted all the guys in my phone and told them not to call me. He texted my cousins, the deacons of my church, don't text my woman and all that. And they would only check on me when I wouldn't show up for church. And that's all they would be, how are you doing? And he would text them, don't text my woman, then don't call her no more and all that. And this is the deacons of my church that's married and everything.
That's what they call them now?
Yes.
Okay. You say, yeah.
And also, he had access to my property because he said, he was the handyman. And I used to pay him for his services when he did work in my house. And he was, he started out as a handyman, then became intimate and all that. But first he was the handyman, and that's how we met. And he had access to my house. He even stole my passport one time so I wouldn't go on vacation with my cousin in 2019. And it was just like, it's just a lot. I didn't want to be in a relationship where a man was abusive to me and all that stuff. And as far as the DUI, my DUI was like in 2012, and I paid the price for that, and I did not drink and drive because my family wouldn't let me. And when I did get to that point, I would call somebody or not even get in the car, and I would be with somebody else. So like that was all unnecessary. But I just think that I just don't think I owe him anything.
All right, we haven't gotten to that yet.
But I just continued to do things for Miss Marshall, even though I was taking care of my mother.
You ain't do too much, or she wouldn't have been evicted.
Well,
seriously though, sir, how are you doing all this other stuff? Driving her to work in the morning. I'm sure she just said, save the gas. And send that check to the landlord.
Plaintiff Ray Feaster is suing his ex-girlfriend, who claims she filed a restraining order against Ray after they broke up because he became verbally abusive.
Sir, tell me about the lawsuit.
Your Honor, first of all, the attorney fees was from a false allegation she made against me for protection from abuse, and it was dismissed in Philadelphia. The judge went over 5 different warrants to see if she would want her a protection from abuse. She didn't find no grounds to want her a protection from abuse. The second one is the stimulus check. The stimulus check is, I had a knee surgery. I had knee replacement in 2018. My daughter was at the hospital, Your Honor, and before I went in the operating room, my daughter had to go to work. So she gave my wallet and keys to Miss Terry. Okay, that's how she looked through my wallet and got my Social Security number. She claimed me for 2017, 2018, and 2019. I also have a text message of her in July of 2020 texting me saying that she was sorry for using my personal information.
Okay.
After she was evicted, Your Honor, she went out and purchased a home within 30 days to avoid the eviction being on her credit report. Therefore, she wouldn't been able to purchase a home right away. She has my name on her, on all her tax returns from 2017, 2018, and 2019 that she gave to the mortgage company. I never lived with her, so how you gonna have me down on your tax return living with you for 3 years?
Okay, so what about the stimulus check?
That was included, the $1,200 stimulus check. I didn't receive it, Your Honor, because Miss Marshall had claimed me for 3 years.
Ma'am, what do you say to these things? One, the restraining order, and then the checks.
Okay, so the protection from abuse order I filed because after I broke it off with Mr. Feaster, maybe in April, May, he became very abusive, verbally abusive, and the only reason
how did you see him? How were you encountering him? You mean he did it by text or by phone? How?
Well, he would text me, and he would also call my job 1 million times a day. I was still being cordial with him because I felt as though we could still be friends. I thought that we could still be friends because everybody need a friend. So I thought that Even if we
Everybody
broke it
don't need a
off,
friend
I
that
could-
calls them and harasses them, ma'am. I don't. But now you're starting to
Okay.
make hurt your case. I
Okay,
decided to
so-
be friends with him because everybody needs a friend. No, everybody doesn't need a friend that harasses them like you say. So much so that you have to get a restraining order on them. So much
Okay.
so that he calls your job all the time. You already had friends, remember? The friends that
Right.
you were going out with all the time that he didn't want you to go out with. So this
Yes.
stuff about, I let him harass me because he needed a friend.
Okay, so he also threatened to blow up my car. So after he threatened to blow up my car, that's when I went out and got the protection from abuse order.
How did
And the only reason
how did he threaten? How did he make that threat?
he called me on my phone. He said, "Don't be surprised one day if you come out and your car blow up." So I took that very personal as a threat, and that's when I became very.
He left it on a recording?
No, I spoke to him.
Okay, how often were you speaking with him after you broke up?
Not that often because I
How
wouldn't pick up
often
his
you
calls.
thinking it? Oh, you wouldn't?
Maybe twice, maybe once, twice a day. Maybe once or twice a day. And the only reason the protection from abuse order got thrown out is because the judge said since there was no physical abuse, and there was never no physical abuse because I wouldn't put up with physical abuse. I mean, verbal abuse is just as bad as physical abuse. And I just told him that I just wanted it on record that I was afraid of him and that he made me feel threatened for my life. And he called my job to try to cause me to lose my job, going back towards this social security number. And the fact of the matter is I used him on my taxes is because he agreed with
Maybe he
it.
dismissed it because you told him you took his calls and talked to him once or twice every day. I would dismiss it too. If you answered a man that was harassing you so much so that you had to get a restraining order against him, that he was threatening you, that he was doing all these things, yet every day, twice a day sometimes, when he called, hello, hi, Ray. Oh, don't say that, Ray. That's not nice. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Maybe tonight you can call me back. Okay. Why wouldn't you hang up immediately when you heard his voice?
Because I wouldn't listen to him. I would
You just
hang
told
up.
me you heard everything he said. When you said he
Well,
told you he was going to
not all
blow
the
up your
time.
car, you
he
heard
called
it.
my job 5 or 6 times a day. I didn't pick up. He used to just harass me at work.
Right.
I didn't listen to him after I realized
Okay,
it
so
was
how
him.
did you get the information that he's going to blow up your car? Because that was the last thing that caused you to go to get the restraining orders when he threatened to blow up the car.
He called me on my cell phone, and I picked up the call, and he
Why?
said it.
Why?
Why?
Yes.
Because he called me from a blocked number.
Let's go to the stimulus. What do you
Okay,
want to
so
tell
the
me about the
stimulus check, he
stimulus?
gave me the use of his social security number after, I mean, we was in a relationship, and after a while, I didn't file my taxes in 2017. And so in 2018, after he had knee surgery, he stayed with me for a couple of days and all that. Then I was like, oh, well, I could use you on my taxes to get a little extra money to file for my 2017. He gave me his number willingly. I did not steal or take his wallet or go through his wallet or anything. His daughter kept his wallet.
What was
and
the purpose of him giving you his number?
Social security number? So I could file his tax so he could go on my tax return.
Okay, fraud.
So he agreed
Fraud,
with it. So
fraud.
he agreed with it.
Okay, I'm just letting you
But
know
he was
you're
in my house
I'm
for
just
a
letting you
long
know
time,
you're
yeah.
admitting a fraud. You've committed fraud.
Okay.
You've committed fraud against the government.
I did not get his stimulus check because I only got one. I had proof with number on my bank statement when the first
What
stimulus
did you
checks
get
came
then?
out
That's
in
the
April.
you got the deduction, no.
Everybody need a friend. So I thought that even if we
Everybody
broke
don't
it
need a
off,
friend
I
that
could-
calls them and harasses them, ma'am. I don't. But now you're starting to
Okay.
make you hurt your case. I
Okay,
decided to
so-
be friends with him because everybody needs a friend. No, everybody doesn't need a friend that harasses them like you say. So much so that you have to get a restraining order on them.
Plaintiff Ray Feaster is suing his ex-girlfriend. who claims she filed a restraining order against Ray after they broke up because he became verbally abusive.
What evidence did you want to show me about what you're telling me, ma'am?
The bank statement, page number 1.
What is that going to tell me?
That I did not receive a stimulus check for him for
How
that
does it
time
tell
that
me
it
what
came
you
up.
didn't receive?
Right. I did not receive one, so I
How
did not
will
order
your
it.
evidence tell me what you did not receive?
Yes.
How does what you show me say you did not receive it?
Because all that says is I received $1,200, and
Yeah,
that was
how about
$1,200
another
per
report? You could have gotten it later. Just because you only showed me one.
That's the only one I received in my account on that date, and that's the date that they
This does
came
not
out.
prove that. Judgment for the plaintiff, $5,000. I believe nothing that she says. I believe she's engaged in fraud, and she better be careful and hope that the IRS agent doesn't watch this. If they do, I'll beg for mercy. I'll throw myself on the mercy of the court for you because your mercy request ain't going to even be enough. Have a good day. $5,000 for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor. I still love her, and I don't mean no harm. I just want to be friends.
I don't think friends would do this to friends, like make lies up. So I meant like, it's no way that we could be friends anymore or anything like that. And
Right.
I just wish you the best for your life. I wish you the best in your life and carry on with your life. And just please forget about me. And don't call me ever again.
Plaintiff Janet Jackson grew up thinking one man was her father. But at the age of 51, she obtained a copy of her birth certificate and saw another man's name listed as her father, who happens to be the defendant's father as well. Janet petitioned the court for a DNA test to see if the defendant is her half-brother. Defendant Henry Bryant Jr. says he knew he shared a father with Janet's sister, but it wasn't until his father passed away that he learned Janet may also be his sister. So he's eager to find out the truth today.
We're here for a sibling DNA test.
Yes.
All right. So let me allow you to begin, and you can tell me why you all, or how long you all have waited to find this out. I know you're 25, but most people act
Thank you.
at age 10. So we'll go with it. Start with you.
All right, well, actually, I was 51, and I went and got a copy of my birth certificate, and they put my parents on there. I have evidence here if you'd like to see it.
That's what raised the question.
Yes, because
Why did you go? I'm just curious, or just curious. Why did you go and get your birth certificate?
I didn't have a state one. My original one from birth, it was a military, and it just had my name on it, and I needed a state issue. And when I received it, it had my name on it, my mother, and his father. His father's not supposed to be my father. The man I know to be my father is not Henry Bryant, and that's
You were
what
raised and never thought anyone else was your father.
I was told another man was my father all my life.
And suddenly, boom.
Boom.
And your father and mother, were they still with us to be able to give you any explanation?
My mother's here. She told me they made a mistake.
The people at the clerk's office or whatever.
This birth certificate was issued
By the
June
health
June the 17th, 1963. I was born June the 8th, 1963. They wrote that down in the hospital. Mr. Henry's no longer here, but here's another thing.
Did she even know the man whose name was on the birth certificate? Your mom?
Absolutely, my sister and I are 11 months apart from each other. She's 11 months older than me. They share the same father.
Who was the one on the birth certificate?
Yes.
All right. And the man who you thought or believed to be your father all your life, did he live in the household?
I never had a relationship with him.
Okay, I didn't know.
Nope.
Your father that you said that you knew to be your father, you never had a relationship
No, I met him. He pulled up in an orange Corvette, shook my hand, gave me a quarter, and told me he was my father. Then
How old were you?
I'm 58 now.
How old
I was
were
like
you?
10 years old then.
10?
Yeah, I never met him until I was up in age. Then I met him again years later. He gave me $10. And then as an adult, I met him again, and he gave me $100.
And his dad, How about him?
His father.
Did you ever meet him? Because that was your sister's dad.
Yes, I know Mr. Henry very well.
How often would you see him?
I would see him, like with my sister, I would go visit with him and everything, but when Mr. Henry fell ill, when we took him to the hospital, in his final days, when he passed away, I was right there at his bedside. But he told me, he said, listen to me, Jana Boo, because that's what he called me. He said, I would love to be your father. He said, but I'm not. So, but his name is on my birth certificate.
Did she even know the man whose name was on the birth certificate? Your mom?
Absolutely, my sister and I are 11 months apart from each other. She's 11 months older than me. They share the same father.
Who was the one on the birth certificate?
Yes.
All right.
Plaintiff Janet Jackson says when she was 51, she discovered she and the defendant may share a father. So she petitioned the court for a sibling DNA test to see if they are half-siblings.
Get a little background from you.
Okay. Well, yes. In '75, my father took me around to meet all of my siblings. He has 9 children. Between
How many women? Not even go there. He had 9 children.
Yes.
But you have as many children as you can afford, and that you have time to spread yourself around to.
Right.
To give a little emotional
And
loved. Mm-hmm.
then he took me to meet her sister. And when he introduced me to her sister, we were talking, and then all of a sudden she comes out.
How old were you again?
16 when this happened. Then she comes out, and
How old is she at that point?
she was about 14.
Okay. She comes
13 or
out,
14.
then what?
They looked identical. My sister and Janet looked identical.
He thought I changed clothes. He thought my sister changed
I
clothes.
thought she
and
had
came
changed
back.
clothes and
That's
came
what
back, you know. And so from that point on, we just bonded.
Yeah.
And
Very close.
always have been. And then one day I asked her mother, I said, well, listen, my father took it to his grave. Is Janet really my sister? She said yes. And last week, when I took Janet to get her birth certificate, was the first time I seen my father's name on her birth certificate.
You didn't go any further than that with her mother about it?
No.
Right, yeah.
No.
Right.
It's not my place.
Correct. Just wondering.
But I would have been found out about it, but I called, like I said, this was like 7 years ago, and I called the Maury Povich show, and it requested DNA, and they asked me my name, and I told them what my name was, and they hung up on me.
I want to
Because I said Janet Jackson.
Your name was Janet Jackson.
Right, and they hung up on me.
See, we're more trusting and trustworthy.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. See, I don't play with names, so I'm not going to play with your name and embarrass you about your name.
I'm the broke one, so it don't matter.
All right, and give me some further information on what has gone on between the time she told you that, and how long ago was that, the time her mom told you?
Last summer.
Last summer. That's very recent.
My father just died in 2015. He passed in 2015, so.
And he never gave any different.
No, they both kept telling me that there is no way possible for Janet to be his daughter because they never had sex since my other sister was in her mother's belly. She said after she had her, she never.
Do you have any idea, either of you, why this might not have been open over the course of the year?
I have no idea.
Why it wasn't open knowledge, or why it was misinformed? If it's misinformation, but it's a difference of opinion. Most of her life, her mother said
That
your father was not.
Right.
Here's another thing, like, I definitely need to know because my oldest son carries this, the man that's supposed to be my father. My son has this name. My 3 grandsons carry this man's name, and this man may not even be related to us. Like, this is not good. Like, it's not good at all.
You carry his name also, right?
No, I carry her husband. I don't even carry neither one of nobody's last name. I carry her husband's last name. I don't even think I got an ounce of Jackson blood in me. I know. you know, it's messy.
But you're saying your sons carry Jackson's name.
I would not give my sons Jackson because I know it wasn't Jackson. My
Whose
son
name did
carries,
you give
they carried that man's middle name.
Got it.
All three of my son and all three of his sons have that name. Oh, Jesus
I never thought
Christ.
about that. The last name.
All three of the boys got it, and my son. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Plaintiff Janet Jackson says when she was 51, she discovered she and the defendant may share a father. So she petitioned the court for a sibling DNA test to see if they are half-siblings.
Which one would make you happiest?
To be honest with you, I'd rather Mr. Henry because
Huh?
I would rather his father be my father because the other one's never been a father. Oh, Judge Mathis, what is it?
Well, you got your wish.
Whoa!
Christ, are you serious?
All these years.
Same father.
I knew there was a reason.
Oh, my God,
I knew there was a reason. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Why would you do that? Oh, my God. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, my God.
Can I give her a hug?
My son got that man's name. My grandparents carry that man's name, and he's not.
Come here, sis. Come here.
Oh, man, Mommy. Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Oh,
All these years.
Mom. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, no.
They lied all the time.
Yep.
Oh, man.
I am very happy.
We're brother and sister for real.
For real.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Look at your brother. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Thank you, Janet, for doing this.
Oh, man.
Thank you for doing this.
Tell Judge Mathis, I said, oh, my God, I can't believe this.
Plaintiff Ryan Welsh rented to the defendant for nearly 6 years, but last year he stopped paying rent and his water bill, and as a result, his water was shut off. Ryan says he was forced to evict the tenant, and he's suing him for the unpaid rent. Defendant Albert Rector insists the water was shut off because there was a busted water line, and Ryan refused to fix it. Albert claims he went 5 months without running water, and he denies owing for those months.
Start with you.
Yeah, so Mr. Rector rented from me for about the last 5 or 6 years. It was pretty uneventful up until the end of last year when he stopped paying rent. Then in May.
In the last year as an end of 20?
End of 20, yep.
Everybody stopped paying rent when COVID came. I didn't have to, but I did. They told me I didn't have to, so I wouldn't. I could have paid. The government said you don't have to pay your rent because of COVID. So Linda, don't you pay no more rent? She said, well, we got plenty of money, Greg. I say, government say we don't have to pay rent, don't pay rent.
So anyway, everything in May of 2020, the city shut the water off to the house, and that's when I told Mr. Rector, hey, it's time to go. You can't live there without water.
Who's responsible for the bill?
That was Mr. Rector, between Mr. Rector and the city.
For 5 years he paid the water bill?
Right.
Okay. Let me hear from him on what happened there. Go ahead.
Well, so far he's correct in what he said, Your Honor. I mean, I had problems with.
By the way, I did pay. I'm just kidding.
Oh, we did too up until October.
Go ahead. I would do that. That takes away from people who do need it.
Correct.
Go ahead.
When the water got shut off, I told him, I said, it's got to be fixed. I volunteered to fix it myself. Dig the whole 9 yards.
He said shut off as in you didn't pay the bill.
No, the bill was paid. The bill got shut off because of a busted water line.
Okay, you got to describe a little more.
Yeah, I walked outside, sunk in the water in the ground.
What month?
The water. That was in October.
Okay.
And I thought, I didn't know really what was up with it. Just watched for it, make sure it wasn't too bad, and then it got worse. I called the city up because I tried to contact Mr. Wells. He didn't answer at the time. And I called the city. They come over. They looked at it. They said, yeah, the busted line is on your side, and we're shutting the water off. Okay, what do I do now? Well, in the meantime, I'm without water. I talked to Mr. Wells. He says, well, I'm not going to fix it. I'm just going to sell the house. You're going to have to move. Well, I can't just up and run away real quick. So I did the best I could. I tried to make sure the water stayed on what I could. I ended up running a water hose from my church, which is right next door, which is where my wife and I go to church at. We also run the food pantry and take caretakers of the church. That's why moving next door becomes such a blessing for us.
What's the name of your church?
The Lighthouse Mission, Lighthouse Baptist Mission.
Where?
And it's in Hamilton, Ohio.
All right, congratulations. They have a food pantry. I don't know what else they have, but at least they have something.
That's correct.
A lot of churches have zero other than collection at 11:30.
That's correct.
Or 11 o'clock. Some churches start at 11:15 with the collection. Some do 11:15, then 12:30, and then 4:30, and then 7:30. How many y'all do?
One time, sir. They asked for money one time.
And you have a pantry.
Correct.
That's why I wanted you to mention that church.
Yes, sir.
Because when they do that type of work, they should be known so that folks can go. All right.
We like to make sure everybody gets fed.
Good. And, sir, I got to ask you, you must not know something about renting. How long have you been in the rental business?
Like I said, I've rented to him for 5 or 6 years.
Is the only house that you've had rental property?
Yeah.
All right, because it's your responsibility to fix pipes in the house or disrepair.
I would agree.
Significant repairs. So you can't tell a person, I'm not going to fix it. You just have to get out. That's evicting them.
That's right. I went through the process. What Mr. Rector didn't tell you, so he agrees he didn't pay rent after October. Page 13 of the
I'm
evidence.
sure because it didn't get water. I'll let you finish telling me.
No, there was water until May.
I went from.
Hold on. May of what?
May of 21.
Okay.
If you look at page 13.
First time it was cut off. When you told him you can't stay here without water, that was May of 21?
Yeah.
Okay.
Late May of 21.
Okay.
No.
Sir?
Incorrect.
When do you say he
Like
told
I said,
you
it was
can't
October of
stay there?
2020 when I found the leak, okay? The city's the one to come in and shut it off, okay? Well, I turned it back on.
And you called
And we went back and forth with the city, turned the water back, and then finally they filled the hole up, said don't touch it again, which we
When
couldn't.
did you tell your landlord
As soon as I
that
found
landlord you must fix your property?
I called him the day the city shut the water off because I
Okay,
didn't
you
have any
told him in
water my house.
October. He says he didn't know until May.
That's no way.
All right, now this is going to be real easy because the first thing come out his mouth is church, 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 church. In church, they're honest.
One would think.
Yeah, one would think. you better have some evidence over there because that might be blasphemy. A good church man like this.
Plaintiff Ryan Welsh is suing his former tenant, who claims he lived without running water for 5 months because Ryan refused to fix a busted water line.
What do you have, sir?
I've got a letter from the city of Hamilton. That's the water utility.
What page?
It's page 13. This is them telling me that there's a leak and that they're going to shut it
He
off.
told
in
you
May.
before them.
No, he never.
That's correct.
He never told me.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so I know they're the city. No, we're talking about what he told you, when he told you. When did he tell you?
Well, the leak was underground and it wouldn't have affected him.
When did he tell you?
In May.
In May.
Yes.
The leak might have been underground, Your Honor, but it was running all over outside on the road. That's why the
Question is
city
when
shut
you
it off.
told him, sir. You say October, he says
correct.
May. How did you tell him in October?
I just called him on the phone and told him in October that it was busted and the city shut it off. I did everything I could to keep it on, which the city got mad.
Okay, but we
and
got a
filled the hole.
central
So
dispute.
then I run
The
home.
central dispute is when did you tell him?
I told
That's
him in
the
October.
whole dispute.
October. I asked if he was going to fix it. That's when he told me
One
no.
time, yeah, you
he
said
said,
one
I'm not
time.
fixing it. I want to sell the house.
Right, and you
He said,
never
you
said
got to get out.
And so how long did you go without water?
5 months.
Why would you stay in a house that is not going to have water for 5 months?
I had no place else to go, Your Honor. We were looking.
Church
We were
couldn't help
looking for a
you?
new place to go
The
to.
church couldn't help you?
The church did help me. That's where I live now. Is in the church. I live on the 3rd floor in a storage room in the church.
Did he always pay his rent on time?
No.
How often was he late?
He was habitually late, but he paid on a regular basis up
Right.
until
Oh,
October.
that's what I'm trying to make sure he paid every month. Did he ever tell you he had a change in income in October?
No, he didn't. We didn't speak.
Okay,
in
did you have a
October.
change in income?
I did not have a change of income.
You did not. So why could you afford rent up until October, but somehow you can't afford to get another place to stay.
I got laid off in September right before that.
I just asked you if there was a change in your income. You have been very dishonest, Reverend. Reverend, you've been very dishonest. Now you're going game on me. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the first time I talked to him about this, that I found out that the water was off, was in May. The city actually turned it off May 24th.
After May, sir, you knew about the repair, and instead of having it repaired, you evicted him. Isn't that what happened?
Correct.
As soon as I found out in May, which is 7 months of, there's 7 months of rent due at that time. As soon as I found out.
Had you been asking him for the rent over those 7 months?
Yeah. You never called me once.
Be quiet, sir. And what was he telling you?
I never heard anything about the water.
No, rent. That's what you're suing about today. Did you ever ask him about the rent?
With you, I'll give you more time because of the pandemic situation.
So for 7 straight months, you gave him more time?
No.
Yes.
How many times over the course of 7 months did you say, can I have my rent? You owe me rent. When am I going to get my rent? Give me my rent this month? How many times over 7 months?
I'd say about 4 times.
And what was his response when, what would he say?
He's working on it. It's coming.
Okay. And you say how many times he asked for it?
He only said it to me the one time he come to the house when he told me.
He didn't. He never asked for rent again.
Never called me one time. That is the. I guarantee.
Call or text.
Or text.
Do you have any evidence that you ask for your rent?
Not text.
All right. What do you have?
Well,
Evidence
the
that
fact
you
that
ask
the rent is
for
due
your
every
rent.
month, whether I ask or not.
Pardon me?
Just the fact that the rent is due every month, whether I text him or not.
But he says he wasn't paying you because he didn't have his water. And you appear to be saying he wasn't paying you because he couldn't afford to.
Your Honor, the water thing did not happen until May. The house had water.
He says it happened in October.
Well, the city says it happened in May.
Did it say when the call was made?
No, but the letter's from April 27th, and they said they're going to
What
shut it
page
off
is that?
on page 13.
Yeah, it doesn't say when the call was made. That's why I say you need more experience, sir. They don't react to when you call them.
When they get around.
They don't dare. They came in there, he called them. We don't know when he called. He could have called in October, and this came in April. Yes, absolutely. That happens, absolutely. City get around to it when they want.
You got time.
Plaintiff Ryan Welsh is suing his former tenant, who claims he lived without running water for 5 months because Ryan refused to fix a busted water line.
So what happened in May? Let's just fast forward. Once you knew, let's get to the eviction part. How did we get to evicting?
As soon as I found out that the city had shut the water off, which they shut it off on May 24th, following their letter.
Instead of saying, I'll fix it, you said you can't stay here without water.
You can't stay here without water. You need to go. And I would fix the house if you had paid the rent and I had the money to fix it, but I can't afford to fix it. I'm going to sell the house.
Okay. All right.
So I initiated the eviction.
He went without water for at least since May, and your response was, I'm going to kick you out instead of getting it fixed. I believe him not having water was legitimate reason to withhold, and then your response was retaliatory. I'm going to put you out. I ain't getting it fixed. I'm going to put you out. Have a good day. Claim dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm sorry about all this. I do humbly apologize. I thought we could work it out in the long run. I did get the check last Friday, like I told you. So you would have had all your money if you'd have just been patient.
I got no hard feelings over it.
Yeah.
Glad to put it behind me.
Put it behind us, that's right.